classic in the oldest sense of the term just means something that is worth being imitated. And in that sense, Avowed is very worthy of that. Avowed reaches some heights in the first-person RPG genre that other games are just unable to. And even though it's a flawed game, undoubtedly due to its low budget, it manages to reach its goals in terms of combat, exploration, and writing. Not only does it does it extremely well. On one side, we have combat, and it's very damn difficult to make a first-person melee combat, or at least very close-range combat, because animations are very difficult to telegraph so up close, because everything seems so big. It's difficult to be more aware of what's around you. There's a huge variety of weapons, both ranged and melee, and there's also a lot of defensive capabilities. You can parry, you can dodge, you can jump. What makes this game so innovative is that you have 2 gear slots, each with both your hands free, right? So you can have a rifle in one of the gear slots and have a sword and a wand in the other one. There's a huge amount of potential combinations of weapons, active skills, spells. It's just huge. The player's skill expression is way better than, say, Elder Scrolls, and perhaps it's not Doom, but damn, it reminds me quite a lot of it. That way in which enemies have a predetermined archetype that you have to deal with in some special manners, quite Doom. And there's not as much variety as in that game, right? But each enemy individually and also encounter design, etc. is very well done. And there's a close relationship between the combat of the game and its movement, which is very Dishonored. And I don't say that lightly, because the devs said themselves that they were based on Dishonored. You can mantle, dodge a long distance, you can reach places that you wouldn't imagine you can reach. It allows you to reach places that you wouldn't be able in other games, that lets you gain an advantage in battle. And outside of fighting, this just gives you so many possibilities when exploring. It's so difficult to make a first-person parkour this good, because with so little vision, it's so difficult. Look, I'm not saying it's Mirror's Edge, but it has enough for an RPG to feel good with its exploration. And you only really need to compare it to Fallout, to Skyrim or whatever, to see that this level of movement allows you to put secrets in places you couldn't imagine, in places that are more interesting gameplay-wise. In that sense, it reminds me of Cyberpunk, but I believe exploration in this game is better than Cyberpunk, because spaces are way tighter and there's more secrets per square meter, say. The other thing you will do all the time in this RPG is a lot of talking. I personally love the script, and I believe it's very, very well written. And the game doesn't really try to tell you or lecture you morally on what to do. Rather, it uses decisions as a way to show you who you really are yourself. It's just classic Obsidian. And not in the sense that you're choosing what's gonna happen exactly, but rather it's more like the 2000s Deus Ex. You choose whatever, and you don't really know what's gonna be the consequences of your actions. And believe me when I say that the game is gonna remind you about the decisions you've made over and over. Without spoiling anything, at some point at the beginning of the game, I started a long quest that lasts till Act 3, in which I had to save someone and put a lot of effort into it. But at some point later in Act 3, I did something in the main story that caused the death of this person. I simply failed the quest and lost its reward. This game is not afraid to let you fail missions if you take some decisions. In that sense, it's a bit like Baldur's Gate 3, but it's still a long shot from the just vast amount of possibilities that game has. Just think about it as a similar thing, but at a much lower scale. Because actually, you can't just kill any NPC or steal stuff. It's more in line with, say, Mass Effect or the older Dragon Age games. No, the last one. We don't talk about that one. And yeah, sometimes you miss that New Vegas style of having like 15 ways of solving a quest or something ridiculous, but not every game needs to be like that. Sometimes just 4 ways to solve a quest is enough. It really depends on your decisions as a designer and what you have in mind about it. And my only negative aspect about the game, really, apart from maybe we could have more enemy variety, but it's not a big deal, is the presentation. The animation work on the characters. They're functional, they do what they have to do, but after Baldur's Gate 3, I feel that spoiled me all other games in regards to this. It's noticeable they're procedural in nature, except in specific story moments. And in a game, you spend 20-30% of it just talking and making decisions. It's noticeable. And perhaps that's why people have been criticizing the game so much, because that presentation just masks a really good script, but what you see in a visual medium is not proportional to how good the writing is. It's seriously gonna impact it. Times have changed. This is not the times you didn't mind the New Vegas wonky animations anymore. This is not what you expect from a AAA game these days, but I don't think it's reason enough to not play it. So even though I don't like numeric scales or whatever, this is something that would reduce the score of your game from say 100 to 90, but it's still quite good. I mean, it shouldn't be a reason to not play it though. I'm sure the artistic direction is very, very good, and the music is more oriented to ambience, which is a totally fine design decision. But I don't want to be focused on that. I just wanted to talk about those 3 pillars that make Avowed a classic and other games should imitate. I don't know if it will be the case just like with New Vegas, that was criticized heavily when it launched and then it became a cult classic, or rather it'll just disappear in the collective consciousness and people will forget about it. But I do believe it should be the case because I truly believe it's a classic. It's a game that's worth imitating at its peak in some of its aspects in the genre. Anyway, if you want to know why AI won't take over the world, take a look at this video, and this is YouTube. You more or less will know what to do if you like this video.